Good afternoon. Previous class, we started to discuss about utopian vision of Frederic Seurat. So, was a French artist who was prepared a series of prints where he was focused on is the dream of a work, especially so the ideas of democratic and social republics. So this is what is a dream, and so it was expressed and depicted in his painting. So let us see that. So whatever he was focused on this paint. So the first thing that, so actually it was one of the series. So in the first print, so it was actually shows that the people of Europe and America, the people of Europe and America, men and women and all ages, men and women of all ages. So there is no age restrictions. So all ages, men and women. Okay, and even all different social classes, those who are belongs to the different social classes, so they were marching in a long train. That means they are marching, so that looks like a long train. So and offering homage to the statue of liberty, they are offering homage to the statue of liberty as they pass it, understood now. See here, the artist of the French Revolution personified liberty as a female figure. Liberty as a female figure here. So during this time, Frederick Sorio, so he was actually personified liberty as a female figure. Are you getting now? See here, you can recognize the torch of enlightenment, the torch of. So please all of you open your textbook and then look at the page number first, so where we can able to see the paint. See actually the most of the countries even till today also, so we are personifying even the country ourselves, so with a female figure. So here the same here also. So here the liberty personified by the French artist Frederic Sario, so as a female figure. So you please you observe that in that statue of liberty, so recognize the torch of enlightenment. Okay, and in another hand, there we can see the Charter of Rights of Man in the another hand. So there, both the hands. So she is holding the one. It is about, so that is about the enlightenment torch, and in another hand, so she is holding the Charter of Rights of Man. So the Charter of the Rights of Man. See, on the earth, in the foreground in that so lie the shattered remains of the symbols of absolutists. Are you getting now? So ನಿರಂಕುಶವಾದದ ಆ ಒಂದು ಅವಶೇಷಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಆ ಒಂದು ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕಾಣ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ ಪೇಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ನೀವು ಗಮನಿಸಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಸೊ the remains of the symbols, especially so lie shattered ಚೂರ್ ಚೂರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಥವಾ ಅದು ಅವಸಾನದತ್ತ ಬಿದ್ದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆ ಒಂದು ನಿರಂಕುಶ ಪ್ರಭುತ್ವ ಅಥವಾ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ಟಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಆ ನಿರಂಕುಶ ಪ್ರಭುತ್ವದ ಅವಶೇಷಗಳನ್ನ ಅದರ ಒಂದು ತಳದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಾಣ್ತೀವಿ. See, in this utopian vision, I mean, according to Frederick Sorio, see, the peoples of the world are grouped as distinct nations and identified through their flags and national costume. So you see that. So here, there we can observe that the different countries' people are those who are belong to different nations. So they are identified through their flags, and as well as so they are holding their national flags also, and they wore the national costumes also. See, leading the procession way up past of the Statue of Liberty are the United States and Switzerland. So there we can see the first United States and Switzerland, and which by this time were already nations. See, during this time actually, so the United States and Switzerland were became already the nation states. Are you getting? I hope that. So observed means actually that is what literally actually we used to say like that. So a government of system of rule that has no restraints on the powers of on the power exercised. Are you getting now? So the unlimited power exercised by a single person or the group of the person. Especially so in history, the term refers to a form of monarchical government that was centralized, militarized, and even so repressive. Are you getting now? So where we can see this, so even the including monarch, there we can see the centralized, the sovereignty, and even the militarized and repressive. So these are all about the absolute. So literal meaning, it is a government or a system of rule that has no restraints on the power exercise. They are actually exercised the unlimited power. Are you getting now? So let us see that. So how they are followed. So we have already I told that. So the United States and Switzerland. So they are very proud of the Statue of Liberty. And during this time, these two states were already became the nation states. Okay, and then France. See, that shows that the Statue of the Liberty, that shows that so the presence of the United States and the Switzerland. Then after that, France identified by the revolutionary tricolor. Okay, so the France people, the old. So the revolutionary tricolor flag has just reached the statue. So just they are very nearest to the statue, those who are so by that. And she is followed by the peoples of Germany and bearing the black, red, and gold flag. So the German people, so they are bearing the black, red, and gold flag. So interestingly, at the time, so when Sorio created this image, so the German people did not yet existed as a united nation. Are you getting now? So during this time, when so the Frederick Sorio he was painted this. So this time, so the German peoples did not yet existed as a united nation. So the flag carrying, so the flag, whatever they carry, so is an expression of liberal hopes in 1848 unify the numerous German-speaking principalities into a nation-state under a democratic constitution. So I hope you are getting that. But that shows that the tricolor flag that shows that so and that their expression that they are going to expression a liberal hopes understood now. So and following the German people or the peoples of Austria and the kingdoms of the two Sicilies also and Lombardy, Poland, England, Ireland, Hungary and Russia. So like this they were followed one by one. See, they have been used by the artist to symbolize the fraternity among the nations of the world. So here, Frederick Sorio, so he was actually depicted all these different European countries. Are you getting now? So it was depicted the European and American countries during this time. So especially, so almost all the different European nations, so they were together, they were marched and with their national costumes and then flag and then they were showing and then they were expressed their whatever they were expressed and their feelings and all. So they have been here, all these countries they have been used by Frederick Sario to actually to see, it was used in this way to symbolize fraternity among the nations of the world. See, this chapter so will deal with many of the issues so which were visualized by Frederick Soll in his painting. Understood now? So during the 19th century, the idea of nationalism emerged as a force which brought about sweeping changes in the political and mental world of entire Europe. So this is what the period. So where we can observe and then we can see a lot of changes in political and so in the mental world of European countries. So the end of the result of these changes was the emergence of the new groups, especially the nation state and then modern state. See here, in the place of multinational dynastic empires of Europe, so there we can see the emergence of, or the emerge of the origin of the especially so the nation states, the emergence of the nation state, so especially in the place of the multinational dynastic empires, especially in the European countries. So what happened now during this time, so in the 19th century, so the idea of nationalism, so it was emerged, and even there we can see the result of this. So there we can see the sweet changes, a lot of changes in the political and the mental of the European countries. So as a change and as a result, so there we can see the emergence of the nation state. So in place of the multi-dynastic, so especially multinational dynastic empires of Europe. See, the concept and practices of a modern state are getting now. So, the concept and practices of a modern state, so in which a centralized power exercised sovereign control over a clearly defined territory. Are you getting? So here, so this actually had been developing over a long period of time. So in European countries, but a nation state was one of in which majority of its citizens. So in the nation states, actually the government and the rulers. So it is actually not only the rulers. So it came to develop a sense of common identity and even shared history and design. Are you getting now? See, this commonness did not exist from the time immemorial. It was forced through struggles and through the actions of leaders and the common people, whatever we are observing the changes. See, this chapter we are going to look at the diverse processes through which nation states and nationalism came into being in 19th century Europe. Are you getting now? So there we can see, so in the place of multinational dynastic empires, so there we can observe, there we can see, so the emergence of the nation state. So the most of the nation states, are you getting now? The most of the nation states so came to develop a sense of common identity and shared history or design. So and this commonness is there now. So did not exist from time immemorial. Actually, so it was brought in the European countries. So through struggles, through actions of leaders and the common people. So this is all we are going to learn in this chapter. Are you getting now? So now let us start to discuss about the French Revolution and the idea of the nation. The French Revolution and the idea of nation. As you know already, so we all of you learned in ninth standard only about the complete details about the French Revolution. See, we often knows that. So, in European countries, even in the world, so the first time the idea of the nation and the idea of the nationalism actually it was contributed by the France country. It was actually so the French contribution that is about the idea of the nation and the idea of the nationalism. See, dear students, the first clear expression of nationalism so came with French Revolution in 1789. Already we knows about how. It was taken place through different actions of the common people against the administration of Louis XVI. See, here actually, so try to remember, so that is what a full pledged territorial state in 1789 under the rule of the absolute monarch. So 16th Louis, especially, so the Louis the families and their absolute monarch, so the completely that repressive, that is what a very despotism of the rulers. So because of that, so the common people and along with common people, some of the other class socio communities, so they were revolt against the Louis administration. See, the political and constitutional changes that came in the wake of the French Revolution led to the transfer of sovereignty from the monarch to the body of the French citizens. Understood now? So, this also we learned in the last class. So what happened now? After the French Revolution, the transfer for sovereignty, a supreme power ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅಥವಾ ಸಾರ್ವಭೌಮ ಅಧಿಕಾರ, ಸೊ ಅದು ರಾಜನಿಂದ ಅದು ಫ್ರೆಂಚ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. And the revolution proclaimed that it was the people who would henceforth constitute the nation and shape its nation and shape its destiny. So it was very clear that. So regarding this, so we are going to learn in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day. Sorry, dear students. So I would like to continue some of the new ideas which were emerged during this time, especially in 79 in this period. See, from the very beginning, the French revolutionaries, so they were introduced various measures and practices that could create a sense of collective identity amongst all French people. So it was happened in the beginning, in the very beginning. So what happened? The French revolutionaries, so they were introduced various different kinds and measures and even the practices, so that could create a sense of collective identity amongst French people, especially the ideas of la patrie, the ideas of la patrie, that means fatherland, fatherland. So actually this is what the French word. So this idea of this, so this idea actually introduced and emerged so during the French Revolution. So the first thing, this was one of the so sense which was developed in the France country among French people. So which were helpful to create a sense of common and collective identity amongst the French people. That is about the la patrie. That means fatherland. And also les citoyens. Les citoyens. Les citoyens means so citizen. The citizen. That means the people of the France country. Les citoyens. So this is the another one concept. And also, dear students, see, this les citoyens emphasized the notion of a united community enjoying equal rights under a constitution. Are you getting now? So that means, so all citizens in the France country where they were enjoying equal rights, so under the constitution. So this idea also emerged during this time. And also, dear students, so after that, a new French flag, the new French flag, the tricolor flag, so that was actually chosen to replace the former royal standard. So they were introduced a new French tricolor flag also. New French tricolor flag. So instead of what they were used in the previous during the Louis administration, so they were especially, so they were chosen to replace the former, what we called the royal standard. So that's what they were introduced a new French tricolor flag in that time. And also, dear students, so the estates general was, the estate general was so elected. Actually, what was this estate general? So actually, the estate general, it was the elected body of the France country. Are you getting now? So the estate general, it was elected by the body of, especially we have studied that. So there will be the two types of citizens: active citizens and then, so only the active citizens. And this, the estates general, it was renamed as National Assembly. Are you getting now? So the estate generally, I'm sorry, the estate general, uh, which was the elected by the active citizens. So this is one of the parliament, and this was also renamed as the National Assembly. And new inns were composed, and even so votes taken, and the martyrs commemorated. And also, dear students, so this is all done so by the French people or the France people, so in the name of the nation, in the name of the nation, ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರದ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ, ಸೊ ಇವೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಸಹ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. And also, dear students, a centralized administrative system was put in place, and it formulated uniform law for all citizens within its territory, the whole France. So the complete territory, so they were made the uniform law. And even the internal customs duties, and even so the other some of the differences are completely abolished this time. And also a uniform system of weights and measure also adopted. So the uniform system of weights and measures also adopted, and regional dialects were completely discouraged, and French language, so it was actually spoken and written in Paris. So this French language, so it was became the common language of the nation. So these were all the new ideas and the new things were emerged, so after the French during the French Revolution. So these were all, so from the very beginning the French revolutionaries, so they were introduced. So these are the various the measures and practices. So please keep it in your mind. Once again, I would like to repeat. So the idea of la patrie, that means the fatherland, and les citoyens, that means the citizen. So these are all actually they were strong, emphasized the notion of a united community, so enjoying equal rights under a constitution. And also, dear students, so a new flag, new tricolor flag also introduced, and they were replaced the previous, which was shown actually the royal standard, that was also removed. And the another thing, the estate general, which was elected assembly or elected parliament, so that was also renamed, so it is actually renamed as the National Assembly. And new inns were composed, and also votes taken on mortiers, they were commemorated, all in the name of the nation. And also, dear students, so there we can observe that a centralized administrative system, so and even the uniform law was formulated, so where all citizens of the country within its territory, so treated in equal manner. And also the internal customs, duties, and so on, so things completely abolished, and a uniform system of measures and weights, so it was introduced, and the whole territory, so it was adopted also. And even the regional dialects were discouraged, and French, it was considered as the national or common language of the nation. So here the revolutionaries further declared that it was the mission and the destiny of the French nation to liberate the people of Europe from despotism. See, in other words, to help other peoples of Europe to become nations. So actually there we can see all these the democratic ideas, the new ideas. So it's actually they are given like light to the entire European countries because the first time the idea of the nation, the idea of the nationalism, and the idea of the liberty, fraternity, and so on, so things. So it was actually contributed by the France country to the entire world. So not only for the European countries. So let us continue in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.